Hey everybody, welcome back. We talked a bit about Mendelian genetics and the law of segregation. So gametes are haploid. He figured that out without knowing anything about meiosis or chromosomes. So that's pretty cool on Gregor Mendel's part there. We've talked about the traits, the terms that go along with the traits. Traits that so remember some words that you have to remember to tell apart are gene, allele, genotype, and phenotype, and practice doing that. So now let's look just at a basic monohybrid cross using big P, little p. So in a monohybrid cross, that's a term your book will use. Monohybrid means one trait that we're hybridizing between two flowers. So in this case, we have two flowers that are heterozygous, and we are breeding them together. So big P, little p, and big P, little p, okay? And so to set that, that's how you set it up. The capital letter is always first. And then you would say, okay, what happens when these two sperm and egg fuse? You would get big P, right? What about right here? You would get big P, little p. What about right here? Big P, little p. And over here, little p, all right? Once again, we get 3 purple and 1 white. So a 3-to-1 ratio. Now, I could give you a different problem than this on a test, so don't always expect a 3-to-1 ratio. Like if I gave you a big P and a little p, and I told you to cross it with a big P and a big P, right? You'd have to do it and see what the ratio is yourself. But that's a monohybrid cross. And we've seen that over and over again. Once again, we get 3 purple to 1 white flower produced when we do this. If we look at the genotypes, we get a big P, a big P, little p, and a little p, a big P, little p, and a little p, right? Big P, big P, little p, big P, little p, little p. So a 1 to 2 to 1 genotype ratio. So it's a 3 to 1 phenotype ratio, purple to white, and a 1 to 2 to 1 genotype ratio. 1 of these to 2 of these to 1 of those. Now, another thing Mendel did was a thing called a test cross. Because remember, he didn't have like DNA testing equipment, right? Where he didn't know what DNA was. So when you get a purple flower, hey, it's purple. How do you know if it's big P, or if it's big P, little p? They have the exact same color either way. Well, he did a test cross. He would take a white flower. So white flowers are always little p, and he would cross it with this purple flower to see what came out the other side. Imagine how much work that was, right? So he takes a homozygous recessive individual and he breeds it with the purple flower. So, what if you took this purple flower and you bred it with this plant, and you got, let's say you got all purple plants produced. What if all the offspring came out all purple? Well, then you know that this was big P, because this would be the outcome, right? But what would you get if this was actually heterozygous? If we had, let me erase these. What would you get if this was big P, little p? Well, then you would get 50% white and 50% purple, right? So he could tell what the genotype of the unknown flower was by crossing it with a homozygous recessive individual. That's pretty cool. Purple, 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 purple. Well, if that happened, we already know. That would mean that it was the unknown was homozygous dominant. If it was purple, purple, white, white, then we would know it was recessive. It was not recessive. It was heterozygous, I should say. Now, another thing we need to point out then is that organisms have more than one character. They're not just purple or white. So when we look at two characters at once, it's called a dihybrid cross. That's following two different characters in each generation. For example, brown eyes and brown hair, or tall plants with purple flowers, right? Two different traits at once. That's dihybrid. So the questions you might ask, in humans, do all people with brown eyes also have brown hair? Why or why not? I'll let you think about that. But what Mendel comes up with after his experiments is called the law of independent assortment. What we would say now is that different alleles sort out independently of one another. So in this case, being purple and being tall, those are both dominant traits, but they are inherited independently. Why? Probably because being purple is on one chromosome, or color is on one chromosome, and height is on another chromosome. So they're inherited completely independently of one another. Now, there are exceptions in biology to this. For example, purple and tall might be inherited together a lot if purple and tall are right together on the same chromosome. But in the case of Mendel's pea plants, that was not the issue. So what he does is he sets up an experiment. He takes, that didn't work out. He takes yellow round pea pods, big Y, big Y, big R, and wrinkly green pea pods, which is little y, little r, little r, and he breeds them together to see what comes out the other side. And we'll pick up from that in the next video.